So, you have met with a terrible fate, have you? Sorry about that, Emiru. Just sort of the state of the world as it is. I figured, since you're quite astute in saying that you are not a politically engaged person, that you shouldn't be giving people their political opinions as a casual entertaining streamer, as opposed to a politically engaged and charged one. I figured as someone who is a little more keyed into this sort of thing, I could give you a little bit of advice on how to properly say, fuck ICE. The proper way to do it is to say, yes, fuck ICE. They're not going hard enough. They should be doing more. You don't even necessarily need to believe that when you say it, because an apology or a confession given under duress is not valid. So I don't even take your rather milquetoast statement, such as it is, to be particularly relevant, because I can't be sure if you mean it or not. It could just be because you wanted to get people off your back. And because of this, it really doesn't cost you anything to rescind it. I know that once you've bent the knee, it can be a little hard to stand back up again. But in this particular instance, I think it'd be worth it for your mental. Speaking of your mental, I'm going to give you a little bit of a reframe. As someone who is keyed into this sort of thing, I'm going to help you take care of one of the particular Denims and Company critiques of you, that you are ill-informed on such matters of current events. Check the description and you'll see a tweet by Cam Higbee. In it, he got into the Telegraph group chat that the organized and well-trained militia there in Minneapolis had, where they had a set of instructions and how should I put this? Mission statement goals of what they're trying to do specifically and why they're doing it. In it, they refer to attempting to escalate instances of ICE action in order to create what they call flashpoints. A flashpoint is, as they describe, a PR opportunity. A photo op, if you will. Something they can point their cameras at and then start crying about because look how sad it is. And it specifically says in their instruction manual that one of the possible outcomes of these flashpoints is the death of a participant, which they can use to further radicalize people. Let me give you the layman's translation. Denims and her political allies wanted Alex Pretty and Renee Good to die. Straight up. That was an acceptable outcome to them. Not just acceptable, but desirable, because it would give them sad stories and it would give them cover to say, oh look, they're murdering people in the streets. That was not murder. Renee Good and Alex Pretty were part of that Telegraph group chat. They knew what they signed up for. They knew what they were doing. That was suicide by cop. And we typically understand that in a case of suicide by cop, it's not the cop's fault. It is the fault of the person who provoked them. Which is what happened. Denims and Company know this. They bank on you not knowing it so that they can extract concessions and statements from you. Now, let me tell you, personally, when somebody does that sort of thing to me, and I know about it, or I figure it out, I'm not saddened by the pictures anymore. I'm mad. I'm mad that they would try to do that to me. And while anger is not necessarily the healthiest emotion, it's usually a bit better than being depressed. Not only is it a bit better, but righteous anger is, as the name suggests, righteous. If you are not angry when there is good cause to be so, you are not being moral. They'd like to imagine that ICE is some sort of modern day Gestapo or whatever. The reality is there are guys doing a very important job, which is protecting your inheritance. You would like to get your due inheritance, I'm sure, but it has been deemed by certain elements within the country and without it that you shouldn't get it. So let's try to reframe it like this. Your family lives on land. All families do. There's never been a human civilization that has lived primarily at sea. Even the Polynesians lived mostly on land, built their boats on land. They sailed to find more land. When enough families get together, they can form a tribe, then a clan, then finally a nation. Your nation is that inheritance you have received from your forefathers. It is the land and the benefits of living on that land that have been afforded to you. Other people might want to take that land. They might make all sorts of arguments about wah, stolen, wah, no one's illegal, etc. But that's just sophistry. They just want your land. They want your stuff. They want your inheritance. And they're willing to do all sorts of things in order to take it from you. Like, for example, allow squatters into your house. And those squatters are now beholden to them because they're the ones who allowed them in. And they're going to take up your space, maybe even take up the jobs around your house. Probably not care for it as well as you do because it's not really their house. They have a home to go home to. They're just squatting in your house because it happens to be a little closer to where they want to work. ICE, being the law enforcement arm of, or at least one of the law enforcement arms of your nation, is essentially just a member of your family who is willing to come and evict the squatters. But then the squatters start crying when they start being dragged out, and maybe they start fighting, and maybe some of them get hurt because they're, fighting the person who's trying to throw them out of the house they're not supposed to be in. And your, less than loyal family member brings pictures of this happening to you and says, "Oh my gosh, isn't this sad? How can you allow them to do this? You need to let them keep squatting in your house." So that they can, eventually take the house out from under you, even if it's depreciated in value, and it's no longer your house. And if you get kicked out of your house, where do you have to go home to? Nowhere. This is it. This is your house. Denham's and Company are willing to get people killed in order to either boot you out of your house or convince you to go sleep in the basement on a dirty old mattress and be happy for the privilege. I wouldn't be happy. I would be mad. Then again, that's just my man brain talking, I guess. Oh man, that traveled a little further than I was expecting. Now, I hate to get too terribly personal with you, Emiru, because I assume you're not actually watching this. But just in case you are, here's another little reframe to put things into perspective for you. Take what Downs has been saying about you, what she's been tweeting about you. Listen to her voice, look at her face. Just imagine it's Mizkif. Imagine it was him who was treating you like this. Would you be mad? I would be, especially after everything you've gone through. And it's more or less the exact same playbook if you think about it. Verbally abuse you, berate you, demand concessions from you, demand you stay on the plantation, as it were, that you not leave, that you leave your friends, because they're bad for you. They make you think bad things. They maybe warn you about, what's going on, and they couldn't really treat you the way they could treat, as well as they could treat you if you just, do what they say. A little bit, I'll admit, macabre to think about. But that is effectively the situation you find yourself in. The long and short, the important part is, just remember, most of these people don't really believe the things they say. You can tell by observing their behavior. No one is a more dedicated capitalist than a socialist. They believe in it more than even someone like Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Reid Hoffman, Jeffrey Epstein. If you look at those guys' politics, especially before, the more recent turn, Trump used to be a Democrat. Musk was effectively a Democrat. Reid Hoffman still is. Who were most of Epstein's friends? I mean, he was, trying to get in bed with everybody, one way or another, but he certainly had one particular side he was leaning towards. I'm just saying. And if you look at the party registration of most billionaires, a very clear pattern emerges. They lean left and they throw that money right where their mouth is. But they don't really live by the ideals, do they? Neither does Hassan. Neither does Denims. Neither does that entire crowd, if you think about it. So honestly, any of their moralizing doesn't really matter. You'll never find anyone more anti-racist than a racist. If you need more evidence of this, there's a book you could read. It's called Rules for Radicals. One of the rules for radicals, as outlined by Saul Alinsky, is to always accuse your enemies of doing what you are doing, so as to cast doubt when you inevitably point out that, hey, look at what they're doing. But if you can call out that play because, you've read the book, then it loses its effectiveness. Actually switch spells. Man, she's making better use of quick step than I am. Oh, bloodhound step. I'm just saying, there's a reason that Hassan, despite saying he's a socialist, lives in highly capitalist excess and extravagance. And Asmongold is referred to as the Roach King. See ya, bitch. So I'll just leave it at that. If you take my advice, just, humble factory worker from the middle of BFE nowhere. When someone treats you like this, you either ignore them or you get angry and you throw it back in their face. It's much better for your mental long term. If you hit them hard enough, they stop trying. Or at least they try to go underground with it because they know they can't get concessions from you. They can't get, can't use your nice, gentle nature. If humans have free will, you get to decide whether or not you have a gentle nature. That means, by extension, whether or not they get to take advantage of you. I hope this has been helpful, Emiru, who's probably not watching this. I'm calling it a night. I've got to wake up for work in the morning.